love this shit. Gotta get my notes ready and shit. Oh God, America, don't judge me for my sins. Judge me for my homegirls. There's somebody on the set. What's up, guys? Babs Money here, and I'm coming at you with another episode of Dragatha Christie's Unsolved Mysteries. There's nothing in here because I'm thirsty. Oops. And today, I will be talking to you about the disappearance and murder of Debbie Wolfe in Fayetteville, North Carolina in December of 1985, Diva. Almost 35 years ago. This occurred on Thursday, December 26th of 1985. After leaving work that day at 4 p.m., a nurse by the name of Deborah Ann Wolfe, known by family and friends as Debbie, vanished. She had celebrated Christmas with her family the previous day, and they became concerned when she was supposed to show up the next day for work at 8 a.m., never showed up, never answered anyone's phone calls. Her mother, Jenny in particular, became very concerned because this wasn't like Debbie at all. Now, her mother, Jenny, her father, John, and a friend by the name of Kevin Gordon went to her home, which was a small cabin about 4 miles outside of Fayetteville. Mind you, Debbie was particularly neat and meticulous, which is why they were very surprised at what they found when they got to her house. Her car, for one, was not parked in its usual spot. There were beer cans strewn all over the property. Her dogs had not been fed. Her uniform had been thrown in the kitchen floor, and her purse had been shoved under her bed. Five discrepancies, not discrepancies. What the fuck am I trying to say? Pieces of evidence we have before us that are standing out because Miss Debbie would not do these things. What's the tea, Christine? Can you tell us again what it is, Chrissy? Miss Girl? Spooky ooky. There also was a very strange message on Debbie's answering machine, a very odd voicemail from a man asking how she was doing and claiming that she had missed several days of work, which didn't make sense because at the time, according to Jenny, Debbie's mother, she had only missed a few hours of work. So already this is getting really weird. But I promise you, there is an abundance of goopery. There's plenty of goop to be had. A lot of people would be gooped here. A lot of people would be gooped. And I'll name them. Bitch. They searched the area surrounding the pond on Debbie's property, but no trace of her was found. And when her mother tried to contact police, they of course told her that they couldn't get involved for 72 hours. That's 3 whole days the bitch could be gooped, gagged, and shackled to a gutter somewhere. And they're like, no, ma'am, stop in the name of the law. How about you stop in the name of this pussy, bitch? Stop in the name of these nuts on your chin, these chesticles. The sheriff's office finally began their investigation on New Year's Eve. This was five whole days after this woman had disappeared. So mind you, they used bloodhounds to try to track her scent, but nothing was found, and I wonder why, because there wasn't nothing to be found, bitch. Now, on this day, a search of the pond was not done. Don't ask me why. I don't know. But the next day, Jenny had 2 divers, Kevin Gordon, that I mentioned earlier, and Gordon Childress. And within minutes, Childress found a set of footprints. 2 sets of footprints, actually, and drag marks at the bottom. So Mr. Childress followed these tracks until he found what was Debbie's body, which strangely enough had been stuffed in what appeared to be a burn barrel. So somebody gooped her ass and then said stuff like a cannoli and just threw her ass in the pond of doom. Shit, Mary, it's rough out there in the Faye. Police were brought to the scene and they then removed Debbie's body from the pond, and an autopsy determined that there were no drugs or alcohol in her system at the time of her death, and it was determined that she had died by drowning. But you see, Kevin Gordon, the one I mentioned earlier, one of the divers and one of the people who originally went to the house when she disappeared, he disagrees because he said that the way she was found is not consistent with how many drowning victims would be found. Their eyes and mouths would be wide open, which hers were not. Their arms and hands would be stretched out, and hers were not. It just didn't make sense that she would have died from drowning accidentally. Now, as I said, police investigators believed it was an accident. They believed that she was playing with her dogs and fell into the pond and drowned. But Kevin also pointed out that that didn't make sense because despite the fact that the pond was filthy, Debbie's body was relatively clean. So what the fuck is up? Now, here's the part where I started really getting into this shit because it's not adding up, mama. It's not adding up. No addition is happening here. Who the fuck is talking? I'll come kill him. Her family and friends obviously did not believe this theory that the police department had and pointed out that the strongest piece of evidence was that her body had been found in a barrel. To which investigators replied that there was never a barrel at all. These bitches really tried to act like the shit was never there and that it was just a goobery. That they had pulled the lace front over the eyes of God, I guess. They claimed that the divers had seen her jacket, which had ballooned out from being in the water, but Mr. Gordon and Mr. Childress both asserted that what they saw was, in fact, a very large burn barrel. And also, her mother, Jenny, claimed that she heard investigators talk about taking it in for evidence. So what the fuck happened to the barrel, Fayetteville PD? Inquiring minds, aka I, Dragatha Christie, who has much time during this courtship teen, want to know. Jenny and several others also noted that they remembered seeing the barrel at Debbie's home, that it was being used for target practice at the time, and Jenny said that when she went to Debbie's home on December 27th, that the barrel was gone, but that there was still an indentation in the ground from it being there. Now here's where it gets even more and irrefutable. That is not the word I meant to use. It gets... I thought I heard sounds from God. This is where it gets undeniably crazy. A few months after Debbie's death, her mother finally had a chance to look at the clothes that were found on her. But here's the kicker. She determined that these clothes did not in fact belong to Debbie Wolfe because, quite frankly, I'll give you the specifics, but none of this shit fit this bitch. That bitch was not wearing this shit. They is playing. She did not just say, oh, I'm gonna throw on some shit that's all 3 sizes too big for me and go play with my dogs and wally oop and all shit. The pants appeared to be too large. The jacket was not one that belonged to her or the one that she had borrowed from her brother. The bra was 3 cup sizes too large, and the shoes were 3 sizes too large. However, the police asserted that the clothes did indeed belong to Debbie. What Jenny believes is that one of 2 volunteers in particular from the hospital that Debbie worked at were responsible for her murder. Both had tried to pursue a romantic relationship with Debbie, and apparently both of them also knew where she lived. This is not bueno. Do you understand me? No bueno. Abort mission. Evacuate Fayetteville, girl. You need to leave. Jenny's belief is that one of these men took Jenny hostage and then kept her alive for several days and then killed her. She believes that the killer returned later to remove the barrel so that Debbie's death would appear accidental. And her family and friends, of course, do not believe this, and they stand by their theory that she was murdered. Now let's get into the suspects because I did find a little bit of information on them. At the hospital she worked at, Debbie Wolfe supervised the volunteers, and there was one that particularly bothered her because he constantly tried to pursue a romantic relationship with her, and it was noted that he also had a history of psychiatric illness, which I don't necessarily think automatically means he did anything, but that was something that was noted in the information I found. Now, at one point, this man got her home phone number and began to call her and say that he was going to come see her, that he was going to come to her house. This man was questioned by police after her body was found. However, he had an alibi, but he refused to take a polygraph test, and then he left the state a few days later. The fuck's up with that, honey? The other volunteer was someone who had also tried to pursue a relationship with Debbie in the weeks before she disappeared. However, Debbie told him that she wanted to remain friends. Jenny believes that the suspicious caller on Debbie's voicemail is this man. And he was also questioned by police, but they found no evidence to suspect that he was involved. As for updates, sadly, both of Debbie's parents, John and Jenny, and her brothers John and Joseph, have since passed away, never knowing what happened to Debbie Wolfe because her case remains unsolved. So let's get into gigs. What do y'all think happened? Because my theory, you know the girls are gonna try to come get me, honey, but this is just the tea. I think whoever killed Debbie had connections, police-wise. Said, honey, there ain't no fucking barrel, and you gonna tell them there wasn't one, because I killed that bitch. I do think that it was one of the hospital volunteers. I really think it's the one that left the state. That, to me, is more suspicious than the other one who was questioned. And yes, they didn't find any evidence, but he didn't run. I think Jenny may be right that the other man was the suspicious caller, but the first one, I think, is who killed her, and I think he had connections. He set that shit up, bada bing, bada boom on the track. You know, I don't want to say too much, but either way, I will say that FPD muffed up that investigation. They said, oopsie daisy, I muffed it up. I say this every time, but this is one where I really need to know. What do you think happened in the case of Debbie Wolfe? Because this is wild. With the whole disappearing barrel and them claiming there never was one, and the thing with the clothes, and the fact that her body was clean even though the pond was filthy. There's just so many elements that don't make any sense. And we at home want to know what the tea is out there in Fayetteville. As always, drop opinions, ideas for filming, as well as new cases, things you'd like to see and hear about, things you'd like me to do, other videos you might like me to do. Just tell me everything, Diva. Tell me everything. I want to know the tea. These nails make it impossible to do anything but be kind. This was real. That man said, take the top off that cookie jar. Deborah said, no, sir. He said, I bet. Put up on her house. Gooped her. Stuffed her ass in that barrel and said, douche. Came back later and said, ha ha ha. This barrel is mine, you ignorant sons of bitches. Disappeared. Disappeared without a trace. As always, I am Babs Money, and I'm signing off for now. Good night, bitch. Until next time, money chasers. Wow. You hear this? These noises soothe the girls during the quarantine. You gotta soothe yourself during this quarantine, darling. You're about to get a glimpse into the land of truth. 1 second. Look at them.
Have you met the beauty before? I mean, it's Vegas.
That's Vegas, Van Dank. You wouldn't know, though, because none of y'all have TVs. And then behind her, that's the elusive Pandy.
She's dying.
They're both very kind. I just wanted to give y'all a glimpse into this house of death, because why not? Also, that's my fridge. Look at it. I use it a lot. I don't know if you can tell from the outside. Don't look over there. And I would show y'all our drag room, but it's not ready for human contact. So what I will do is tell you that it's really nice. So just bear that in mind. And sweet dreams, girls. Good night. Happy quarantine. Oh shit, how do I turn this goddamn thing off?